do you have any status on Hunter Maldonado?
Status is game time decision. So we'll see what comes up here in the next 24 hours. But my guess is he'll be ready to go. But also just kind of waiting to see if got his eyes dilated today to make sure that his eye was okay. I mean, he had a CAT scan, CT scan done after the game late in Vegas, and wanted to double check on some things today. So he had to get his eyes dilated. So he can't really see, can't see much right now, but hopefully by tonight he'll be better. He could use a day off from running around.
Jeff, last time you guys played Fresno State, I think Robinson was just 4 of 17 from the field. Looking back, what was the thing that you liked the most about your team on the defensive end that day?
I thought overall, just how connected we were defensively. It was obviously with Robinson. It's not just one guy. it's a collective effort. I thought we did a good job of trying to get him off his spots, but also at the same time too, he missed some shots that he normally makes. And so you're not going to really just shut him down, but you've got to try to make it as difficult as possible for him.
Are you guys doing a senior ceremony for the 3 guys that are listed as seniors? And does that necessarily mean they're for sure gone, or their decisions to make later on?
Yeah, those are just, we'll have a senior ceremony. Their individual decisions will be made, later on. But in case that, they were not to come back, then, this would kind of be their natural senior day. So just, it'll be a good celebration. Hopefully Thompson's parents got a little bit of dilemma. They got his brother playing up in Casper in the state tournament. So hopefully they can get down here. Hopefully the weather will be okay for Maldo and his family coming up from Colorado Springs. And then Drake, his mom, Darla, she makes pretty much every game. I'm not sure if she might've missed one, but she's made every single game, whether that's been at home or on the road. And so, I'm sure he'll have a lot of family here, make the drive from Illinois. And so, it'll be, one of those deals where it's a little bit different, knowing that those guys could come back. But then also too, we got Nick and Tim, my 2 managers, who've done a tremendous job, who've been in the program for a long time. So to honor them as well, because those guys are a big part in what we do.
Jeff, you've gotten to watch these red shirts a lot in practice this year with your starters. After watching them, have you been impressed with them? And do you think any of them can step in and contribute next year?
That's to be determined. It's easy to look good on scout team, and it's easy to go out there and play when there's no pressure. But those guys have had a really good red. All 3 of them have had really good redshirt years. Nate, and Ben, in terms of just really trying to get their body college ready. And then the thing for them to see is, the best thing is that for them to see up close and personal what it's like when you're playing the upper echelon teams in this league, and what the requirement is for your body to play in a game like that. So both of them still got some room to grow. Actually, both of them got a lot of room to grow in terms of where their body can be. But they've had a really good redshirt. They've had a really good redshirt year. And as I told them early on, it goes by quick. It was 5 months ago when you're talking about redshirting, and they think that's going to be like 5 years. And I'm saying, hey, it's going to be here sooner or later. And if you're not ready to go, then you're not going to be ready to go. So, but they've done a really good job, tremendous job on the, with the scout team stuff, and also just been tremendous on the bench, as we all know.
Going back to the seniors, just how instrumental have those guys been in the growth that the program's had over the past couple of years?
Yeah, it goes without saying, Maldo, when I got the job, that was right when COVID really, really hit. Thompson was, that was during spring break as well. Thompson was on a plane actually on his way to Cancun, which when I was kind of like, hey, I'm not sure if that's a wise idea. You're going to get stuck in Cancun. But so I didn't have the opportunity. He would have been the first stop, on my way, from, seeing those 4 returning guys. And then made my way down to see Maldo, and, got to Colorado Springs right around probably the day I got the job, about 7:30 at night. Might have been a little bit later than that. And Sat down with him and his parents in their living room and just discussed what I thought the future might look like. And I knew we were going to be good. Now how good, how quickly, I'm not sure if it would have been as if you had told me we were going to be 23-7 amongst all these things. That's pretty damn good. And just trying to sell him in terms of what I thought his future could be. And obviously we've seen, I mean, last year was last year, but this year, I mean, in terms of what he's done and, the first team all league caliber player he'll definitely get some votes for probably, most valuable player. But, for him to just bring that every day, just the character and just the everyday, just coming in and doing your job. I mean, that's just, for our younger guys to just see that, he's not going to have a bad day. I mean, I can't think of a bad day that he's had in the 2 years. I mean, he's really mature. He shows up, he does his job, and he not only does that on the court, but he does it off the court as well. I mean, he's an unbelievable student and really epitomizes what a student athlete is. And then, with Hunter Thompson, I mean, when he got back and, and the thing too, I think with, especially with those two, in this day and age with the transfer portal and all the nonsense, I mean, senior night can kind of be a little bit of a joke. I mean, especially if you've been in a place for 1 year. I mean, really you're more of a mercenary than you are an actual like brown and gold, like, are you a Cowboy? And that's where, to have two guys, and that's what hopefully with this program can be about, is when you have two guys that have been here for 5 years thus far, and both the Hunters, is that those guys, I mean, it means something to put on the brown and gold. I mean, it means something, every time they step out on the floor and they honor the brown and gold. And when the last time they wear that brown and gold, that, and it's not going to be on Saturday, but, there's going to be tears. I mean, there's going to be a lot of tears, because I mean, it meant a lot. And that's how you got to build the University of Wyoming. You got to find those guys. Now, you're going to have 13 of those guys in this day and age? No, but you got to find enough guys that really believe that, the name on the front of the jersey is also important. And I think in a lot of day and ages now, the name on the front of the jersey doesn't really mean much, just a means to an end, means to an NIL deal. It means to all the BS. And then lo and behold, like a lot of these dudes have found out in the transfer portal, life's not always greener on the other side. And so to have two guys in the Hunters that just epitomize what it means to be brown and gold for the alumni, for everybody, the fans. I mean, those guys are true they represent everything that's right. And I've just been thankful that they gave me the opportunity. And then Drake, was somebody that, Coach DeWeese had found when, at Indian Hills Junior College, came from a terrific program, terrific junior college coach. Not your typical junior college kid. I mean, out of high school, he went to a 4-year school. He was a late bloomer. And, he's a guy too that the last year, I mean, you watched the conference championship, the conference tournament game against San Diego State. He hardly played. And, he had an up and down first year, which a lot of junior college players do. But at no point in time did, he point the finger, did he lay blame? I mean, he just continued to work. And then his opportunity came when, Kenny popped his ankle and guys got hurt, guys had COVID, and Drake stepped in and he's never looked back. I mean, a guy that's played pretty much along the lines with Maldo, 40 minutes a game, has done a really good job in terms of guarding some of the other team's better players, especially the guys that can kind of move around like him. And for him to have the year that he's had, I mean, it's been a special year for him. And, he's also one too that, he's an unbelievable kid. I mean, just his mom, she did a tremendous job raising him. He's just, like I said, his high character. I mean, as Seaman, I mean, he interns for him, and I see him working harder than Seaman most of the time, making his job easier. So they better get an A for that internship. But, and those guys all we'll see what the next, month or so will bring. I mean, like I said, we're just trying to focus on trying to finish this season up right, knowing that, Fresno State is a huge game. I mean, we got where we're at now, and yeah, you don't want to try to look at, prognostications and all the different brackets, but to be honest with you, I mean, we know, and I let our play. I mean, we got to finish this thing off. I mean, if that's pressure, then you know what, you're not ready to, you're not ready to be in that tournament yet. And so, our guys know what they're playing for, and it's been hard. I mean, we've had the schedule that we've had, not just this last stretch, but, with the how condensed the schedule was, and just kind of how it's fallen for us, who's had to play all 18 games. It's just, it's been a grind. And so hopefully we can find a way to kind of push through here. But, you watch a lot of these leagues, and, especially in the Western United States, and where COVID kind of maybe hit a little bit later. But I mean, I know, my guys in the Big Sky talk about how every team right now is just not any good. It's just, everybody's just tired. And they've had a lot of that too. They've had to play back-to-back games and 3 games in 5 days. And so, I know we're not playing our best right now, but also at the same time too, I mean, we also, got, you go back and you look at, the UNLV game, San Diego State game, some of these games. I mean, we've gotten quality shots, but just, who knows, in the UNLV game, that getting a little tired, and we're young. I mean, we're still, when you look at those, the teams that are going to finish in the top 4, I mean, Boise State is really, really old. San Diego State's really, really old. CSU's old. And, you take, Maldonado and Drake, who are playing minutes, but I mean, you got 4 freshmen, 3 COVID freshmen, Noah Reynolds, and actually 5, because you had, Wenzel to the mix as well. I mean, you got 5 freshmen out there. And sometimes, as much as, here down the stretch, we've kind of taken some hits. And those guys, until you go through what they're going through now, it's really hard to talk to them about. Like, it's what it really takes, the sense of desperation that each game presents. And especially when you've always been the hunted, the ones that have been, hunted. Now, you're the hunters. Now you're the hunted. And it's just, it's different. And hopefully as we move on as a program, and some of the things that you got to go through, and hopefully we can figure out a way to get Saturday. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you would have told us, I told our guys today is, the ESPN, what's the, ESPN's 30 for 30s, what do they always start with? What's the opening line? If you guys have seen 30-30, what is it? You guys don't, I mean, Seaman, what is it?
What if I told you?
What if I told you? And as I told our guys, what if I told you back when we were about to play the University of Detroit back on whenever that was, November 8th or 9th, that the last game of the season, you have an opportunity to, make the NCAA tournament. I think everybody would have been, ecstatic. And you go through the ups and downs of the season, you get all these expectations, but in the reality, you got a great opportunity in front of you Saturday. And so that's the message to our guys, knowing that we have a very good Fresno State team coming in here that took San Diego State into 2 overtimes. And I've got a lot of respect for Coach Hudson and what those guys do. And so, as we know in this league, and it's the reason why it's I think, Ken Palm, the 6th or 7th rated league in the country. I mean, it's a dogfight every night.
Jeff, what if I told you you and your peers have to vote for the All Mountain West team and the awards? How are you going to narrow that down? I think there's going to be some guys on the 3rd team that in a normal year, or maybe last year, were 1st team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can't vote for my own guys, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good players. That's why the league is in the position that we're in, is because there's a lot of good players. And so good players usually equal good teams, but there's going to be some pretty good players that, like you said, we're probably preseason 1st team all league guys that you won't see on the first team, maybe even not the 2nd team. And so a lot of good players, and I'm just glad, like I said, you put yourself in a position when you got some of your guys that are in consideration for some of those spots.
Jeff, what has been the mindset, attitude, feeling around this team? Has anything changed? You're around these guys all the time. Anything changed when you came back to Laramie after Vegas?
No, we were just glad to be back and to sleep in our own bed. And, you get to these are the dog days. I mean, it's not the dog days. I mean, this is early March, and our guys, I mean, as we all know, the season's a grind, but last year with COVID was its own grind last year, but we didn't have the schedule that we had, where you're playing 31 games, where you're actually playing games on a Wednesday, Saturday, and you had and so they didn't feel the grind of the season last year. They felt the mental grind of just dealing with the nonsense, but they didn't have to experience the physical grind of what a real season's like. And so, like, for Graham and Jo and X and Wenzel and Noah, like, this is the first time they've experienced what a real college season feels like, and how when you get to this time of year, that's why it's always hard to win with young guys, is because as good as they are in terms of taking care of their body, and you hope they eat the right things, like, I mean, it takes a level of maturity, to really push through and to really have a sense of that desperation that it takes to continue to get better. And thankfully, I said, we're going to be playing, regardless of what happens, we're going to be playing a lot longer than most of the teams in the country. And as you see every day now, seasons are ending. But it's been a hell of a learning experience for our young guys. I mean, just having to deal with everything, the season, expectation, noise. I mean, just those learning experiences will, whether they hopefully, takes us as far as we can this year, but that's part of the foundation that needs to be laid for us to continue to move forward and to keep making steps and strides in the right direction, to where you can really compete, which we were competing for a league championship this year, a regular season championship, but what it really takes and the energy that it takes. And that's where some of those teams that, Boise, I mean, they've had guys that, older guys that have been through all of it. They've been through the noise, they've been through the BS, they've been through all the crap, and they realize at the end of the day, you know what? All that stuff doesn't, that we've gotten past that, we've gotten over that. At the end of the day, it's about the work that you put in, and that's probably why that's why they're on top right now.